So here we are, we've all piled out, we've made our final landing for the day and we're waiting on the wharf to catch the boat over to Gizo, which is our final destination. For that day anyway. So we finally got to Gizo. Yeah, have a look at us. We looked a really clean bunch when we arrived. So we wandered up the street of Gizo. It's all a bit new. Checked in at the guest house. Made a real mess of our room really quickly. Before we headed off to Ranongga the next morning, we got a chance to have a bit of a look around Gizo. Yeah, it was really interesting. One of our missions for the next morning was also to buy a few goodies and supplies so that we could have a few munchies while we're out on the island. Okay, so this is the supplies for the village. Look, we took our luggage down to the wharf at Gizo and it got loaded into the longboats ready for the trip to Ranongga. There was a bit of a crew on the wharf there to say us goodbye. I think some of them got a bit of a laugh. Looks on our faces as we tried to balance in the boats. Off we went. So Phoebe's just made it on board, and
you gotta bow. You gotta bow.
she's now going to. Yeah, Phoebe, you didn't bow.
No, I'm not that much of an exhibitionist, really. How am I swung, please? Oh, I'm sorry.
So right, yeah, there's a full crew on here. We're all feeling like Michelin men.
My watermelon.
It looks like we're away. Well, we're on the boat and we're heading off to Ranongga Island. It's a bit wobbly. We all piled into the same boat in the end. Yep. It's Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hi.
On the way, just to get out of the boat and stretch our legs, we went for a swim. Well, some of us got tangled up in the staghorn coral a bit and ran into a few of the locals. They come to have a better look at us. Well, I think it took about 4 or 5 hours to get there. So anyway, we've made landfall on the island of Ranongga. Hiya, Colin. Some people took a bit of a dive on the way out. Yeah. Very cool. I suppose I should go and lift some stuff. Phoebe's the super athlete, and she just powered up the hill. But Andrew and I were determined that we were going to. Yeah, what was that?
You beat me.
Thank you. And I also had my thongs on too. How's that? I'll call them thongs on this occasion, right?
Jandals. It's okay. I understand what they are.
Yeah. Hi.
You
Hi.
go. Oh,
Here they arrive. They've come. Yeah. We never thought you'd get here. That was pretty rough, wasn't it?
We made it.
How'd you go, Simon?
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, I'm just wet through. Yeah, intrepid mountaineers arrive. You see, here they come from way down there. Man, that was a hill.
Yeah, so when I left it was just a frame. The frame as a training exercise, and then it was.
Look at the kuju!
Here comes it. Well, they were real machetes and all the rest of it, but we weren't too convinced about how savage these guys really were. I suppose you never can tell. David didn't seem to be too worried. So So we just kept on walking anyway. What happened next was pretty amazing. We were all a bit blown away, really. This was our welcome to K-Gold.
From the tropic islands, this is the song. We are going to welcome you today to a happy month K-Gold. We wish you happy day as you stay among us. Sweetest music ever ringing, 'cause we long for a better land, where the memory of sweet music shall never die. Flying west from Australia, how we long to see you here. The day that belongs away, it has come to reality. Walking up on this muddy road, because it's here to demoralize. But the beauty of my K-Gold still welcome you.
Wow.
We all got billeted out around the village to the various families. The family that I was with was the family of Abel and Ellen Casopio and their two children, Diane and Dwight. Abel and Ellen family lived in the schoolhouse. Like the other houses in K-Gold, Ellen and Abel's house was made of leaf, which makes it incredibly comfortable to live in the tropics. Out the front we had a little veranda. It's good for drying clothes and sitting and having a chat. Inside, the house was divided into three: 2 bedrooms and a main room where Ellen and Abel kept all their possessions. I slept on a platform in that main room that had a mosquito net and some sheets that folded down to form my room. The toilet was just down from the house in the garden. It had a washstand outside where all the washing and of clothes and bodies was done. After we settled into our billets, we went back to the dining room and had our first Ranongga meal and headed back home, had a good sleep and woke up to start our first day of work. Okay, so we're in the middle of the jungle there. There goes Phoebe, Superwoman, up the hill on a little bit of a jog. Yeah, we're just taking the timber and back to the village. Well, Phoebe had a little bit of an accident the first day and cracked her head on at one of the wash stands, but I think it looked worse than it was really. The next day we split up into groups of 2 and went to our various locations where we were going to start building our long drop dunnies. I was with Mark, he's another Kiwi, so we thought we should stick together, and we went to Panda's place. Panda, I'm not quite sure if that's how you're supposed to have said it. Panda and his help had been digging the hole for the toilet all night by the looks of it, so there was nothing to do but get stuck in and start building the frame, which we had finished by the end of the first day. We also found time during the first day to go down to the beach to carry up some sand and rocks. I must admit we didn't carry nearly as much as Panda and his friends. Next day we poured the slab and, working under the house, put weatherboards on the frames. It was great working in the cool. So it's Thursday morning, we're back under the house. It's pissing down with rain. There's Mark, we're waiting, we've just discussed the door. All the kids. Hello children, say wave. Wave. You wave. There's all the children. This is Mrs. Panda. Hi. Okay, you wave. There you go. I never did get a handle on how many children Panda and his wife had, but I think there was about 6 or 7. So later on that afternoon we thought we might just have a bit of a snoop around and see how everyone else was doing with their dunny construction. We went down to Roberts and had a look at Carolyn and Colin's progress, which was pretty good. I think they had a lot of help though, so they were getting on really well. Church day, it was Saturday, so we scrubbed up as best we could and all assembled outside the church. All the children were pretty fascinated with us coming to church, I think. Yeah, it was a big day. Robert was outside. He was also looking pretty flash with his McDonald's shirt, which is very intriguing.
We're so glad to see you all at summer school today. Welcome, welcome, Aussie team. Welcome here today. We're so glad to see you all at summer school today. Happy birthday, dear sisters. Happy birthday to you. There's a smile on my face. There's a smile on my face. There's a smile on my face because of you. There is Jesus in my heart. There is Jesus in my heart.
Arikamu Totoru. Good morning, everyone. Ara I Andy. My name is Andy. Ara Rabate Lima Aruku. I'm 25 years old. Ara na Koburu Marane Gu. I am single. I kaki Koburu Reko Tarigamu. Are there any single ladies?
So we've had church and I've all gone to get some shoes, and I come back and the whole village children seem to be gathered around us. There's Phoebe standing out like a beacon as usual. All the ladies with their children. The children don't get to go to church for all day like the adults do. Cool, so after church some of us went down to the river, and I'm telling you it was the steepest dirt track been down for a while. We got to the river, it was so hot we all dived in for a swim. Yeah, well, you know, the Aussie girls. The kids all had a great time, tried to drag us up the stream to the mountain, which was miles away I think. Colin decided to do a bit of washing. Back up the top we had a few visitors for lunch. I'm not sure if they got anything or not. And then on Saturday afternoon it started to hose down. It's been another wet night. The puddle around the bottom of the stairs doesn't get any better.
then take some off cuts of Rio.
We'd had a day off and Mark and I decided that today was the day we were going to get stuck in and get all the walls up, get it all finished. We had a great day, it all went up. The local guys came and helped us do it all, and then they got stuck in and painted the dunny, and the roof went on, and it was a busy day. We were pretty knackered by the end of it. The children were pretty excited about their new toilet, but they were told they had to just wait. Every morning the ladies of the village got up really early and prepared us breakfast, which we really appreciated. We all had a bit less to do that day, so after breakfast we decided to go and have a look at the schoolhouse, and we all ended up in a discussion about time zones and how the sun moves around the earth, and it's quite an educational day really down at the school. I think we all got a bit stretched. I'd always been interested in having a look into the cookhouse next to where I was hosted, so I asked Emma, Ellen's mum, if she could show me around it. It was pretty interesting. There was, I think, 4 different ways of cooking. We got back to Pandas and he was just putting a few finishing touches to their new dunny, and it was looking pretty good. Mark and I went and had a little bit of a look at Hannah and Madeline's dunny, and Carolyn and Colin's. That afternoon the 3 Kiwis formed a small building group, and we got stuck in and we built most of the toilet. That was pretty good. Hopefully it was useful. For our last day in Kagol, we got to have a bit of a look around, and the children decided to be our guides, and they were pretty amazing really. They made us laugh all the time. The thing about Kagol that always amazed me was that it looked like a film set. Everything matched. There was one building that didn't, and that was the medical centre up the top. Well, behind the medical centre was a pretty interesting part of the village. In the bush there, in a crack in a rock formation, were a whole lot of old skulls. I guess they were remnants from headhunting days, and I'm not sure how long ago that was. You hear all sorts of stories, but anyway, there they were. We're a bit wary of them really. After viewing the skulls, we headed off to Mondo village. I'd say we did it the steep way, but it took us across the stream at the bottom of a gully, and the children showed us how they played the rock game. They would sit on a rock and swing rocks attached to vines, and the idea was to get as many going as possible and not get your head hit every time it swung by. After the rock game, we arrived at Mondo village. That was pretty interesting. A lot of the buildings that were there reminded me a lot of New Zealand beach batches. As well as weatherboard houses, there's also some pretty amazing leaf huts with really intricate patterns that look pretty cool. I think this one was the school teacher's house. The kids all had a ball that day. The track back up the hill didn't get any easier. Later that day we headed off to a village about 40 minutes walk across the bush. This village had these amazing leaf huts, and it was quite different really from Kagol. We had quite a look around. There were these guys were building a canoe that they were going to have to lug a long way back to the ocean. The guys had a job of geolocating some of the toilets that had been put in there, and we sort of cruised and ended up in the church. I'll never forget what happened next.
My friend, Orvacha is my friend. We get to see each other. Orvacha is my friend.
Thank you.
Slow.
Today was the day we were setting off to go back to Gizo. We'd all said our goodbyes at a special ceremony the night before. We realised that, yeah, it was time to go, and we'd have to say goodbye to all these smiling faces. So we loaded up all our bags and we headed off down the hill to catch the boat. But it got a bit wet on the way. So we're sheltering in the hat there. There's Mark waving. There's Robert. So it's all got a bit wet. Looks like a wet sleep tonight. All the village was down on the beach to wave us goodbye, and we got our life jackets on and headed off back to Gizo.
Graceful photo of Phoebe up there. She was telling us she's got Navy in her blood.
We had a break after a while, stretch our legs, have a look around. We saw some coconut drying in the sun. We had a look to see if there was any saltwater crocodiles in the estuary over at the back. I'm not sure if we would have seen them. Before we headed off, we'd heard that a member of Herrick's family had passed away, so we called in at Herrick's village to see what was happening, and there was a possibility that we may have had to stay there the night, which we were all pretty keen to get back to Gizo and hot showers. And then there were some of us that were starting to think about some of the other things we were missing out on. So there's just been a bit of good news. The boat is going to continue on to Gizo.
Oh my gosh, everyone, let's
We thought we might have...
Caroline hasn't heard, and when she comes back, let's say that we have to stay here for 2
2 nights, and then we're going to be
might have to sleep on the floor, we thought, but we are going to go to Gizo tonight.
She might not fall for that one.
And that means beer,
early on Friday.
roast
So we
chicken,
can't get to Gizo until Friday.
and more beer.
Wipe your smiles off your faces.
And most people are pretty excited about that, I can see.
All of a sudden,
We've perked up.
charged ourselves.
Scary bit of wiring once you get on that.
Where?
Just here.
Oh yeah.
Since
Yeah,
when did
yeah.
you get a member of parliament carrying a chair for
Thank you very much, Herrick. One of Herrick's family members made us lunch. We had a bit of a rest and headed off again. Phoebe dozed off in Hannah's arms. We had a pretty good trip back in the boat. Got to have a look at the little islands and resorts and things along the way. We arrived back in Gizo and settled up into our accommodation at Paradise. We're inside Paradise here. Outside Paradise. The next day we were all looking forward to going out to Fat Boy's Resort. But before we went, we were able to have a bit of a look around the markets in Gizo and the shops and see what was going. So we're all off the Fat Boys. On the way we got to see Plum Pudding Island, which is the island that President Kennedy swam to after his torpedo boat got hit by a destroyer during World War II. Kennedy Island. We all had a very relaxing day out at Fat Boys, swimming around, snorkeling, sleeping, just hanging out and resting really. All around Fat Boys is some of the best snorkeling you'll ever do. You get to see all sorts of coloured corals, seahorses, coloured fish. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Even walking around on the island was pretty cool. We got to see some amazing beach huts. Next morning it was pack the bags again and head off to catch the boat over to the airport. So we're pulling out of Gizo. First leg of the trip home. The boat across the harbour to the airport. Yeah. What did I say? Airport? Yeah, I did say airport. That's right. Solomon Islands. Gizo. Oh, well, no, we're in the harbour actually. Gizo.
Where are we going to?
Honiara.
What island are we going to? What island is the boat going to?
Airport Island.
That's what I would have said too.
Nusa Tupe.
Nusa Tupe. Okay, so we're going to Nusa Tupe. Honiara Airport.
We are glad to welcome you today to a happy monkey go. We wish you happy day as you stand among us. Sweetest music ever ringing, 'cause we too long for a better land, where the memory of sweet music shall never die. We are glad to welcome you today to a happy monkey go. We wish you happy days as you stay among us. Sweetest music ever ringing, 'cause we too long for a better land, where the memory of sweet music shall never die. Where the memory of sweet music shall never die.